African Continental Free Trade, and that was on sovereign debt in Africa, because we're in a crisis. The crisis of sovereign debt is actually crushing many economies and making it difficult for trade spaces to be created. When I say trade spaces, I mean the enabling, supporting structures of infrastructure, of amenities, of facilities that enable trade, roads, bridges, and all of that. The development of these critical infrastructure is being hampered by sovereign debt crisis. Many African countries are in deep debt. In fact, some African countries have been already declared near bankrupt. So we as trade unions feel obliged to actually weigh in on this and ask for a new paradigm, a paradigm shift from the always crisis, always crisis mood that African countries find themselves. And also want to advocate that workers' concerns on African Continental Free Trade, the protocols that have been developed, many of them have been developed, but a few are still outstanding, especially for the textile industry, especially for the automotive industry. Theirs will be concluded hopefully by October. So we want to lend our voice to that process to ensure that the issues of decent work are actually well captured in whatever comes out of that negotiation. So that was the purpose of yesterday's meeting, and a lot of perspectives were garnered, and we hope we'll be able to send the right voice across to the negotiating team on African Continental Free Trade, their secretariat in Ghana. Wanted to hear our voice, have to make sure that decent work issues are well mainstreamed in the last remaining protocol. And I must also say the concerns of the automotive industry came out clear in our meeting yesterday. They are talking about the enabling environment for them to be able to produce and compete with foreign brands that are outside the continent. They want to also see that the rules of origin is not abused, thereby taking them out of the market. We want to encourage automotive industries. We have a lot of them now in Nigeria and all over Africa, who are into our car assembly and all of that. We want to encourage them to thrive so that they are not elbowed out by the bigger companies. I also want to see that we have second double transformation or even triple transformation for the textile industry. We want to make sure that all the gamut of value chain addition are properly carried along. We want to see that those who are planting, cutting, those who are into yarning, those who are into spinning, into joinery and all of that, even to the point of manufacturing, that they are all carried along. We want to make sure that we don't have textiles brought in disguise into the African Continental Free Trade area and then make life miserable for our local producers in textile. So we want to encourage the textile industry. That used to be the second largest employer of labor outside government. We want to see textile industry bounce back in Nigeria.
And we have also zero in on this emphatically. Then we look at various opportunities. But most of the issues there is that the effect on the workers. We know that there might be job losses due to moving from a high carbon emitting economy to a low carbon emitting economy. So all these issues we are trying to work on, and we know that some of these green jobs, when created, we also replace some of these jobs that are lost. So in that case, we need to rescale, we need to train, we need to build capacity of workers for them to be able to move with the transition and for them to be able to be gainfully employed within this green job sector.
Crisis is not affecting Nigeria alone, but literally every country in the whole world. Even where I'm from in Germany, we can see the impacts of climate change, and the climate crisis also, of course, affecting our economies, because we have to transform the way we produce energy and also the way we produce goods. So this transformation is happening in Europe, but is of course also happening in Africa. And I would say in Africa, as someone mentioned during the speech, the effects of climate change are even worse and more visible than in Europe. So it's important that we tackle this important issue together as a community of nations. The conference said polluters have to pay, which is true. The Global North is mainly responsible for the emissions, and we have to cooperate more with the Global South. This includes adaptation to the climate change, but also mitigation in Europe, but also in Africa. And the good thing is that climate change actually also can induce positive change and transformation. If we look at renewable energies, the potential is astounding and very big in Africa. So if European companies would cooperate more also with African mid-sized companies, but also larger companies, to produce more renewable energy, this could actually be a win-win situation if it works.
So as climate experts, we are supposed to help them through the transition. Workers through this, so that nobody is left behind, nobody is left redundant or without a job, and of course, as you know, that affects their families, because whatever jobs they have, it is what gives them income to sustain their families. So our job is to ensure that there is a just transition.